Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Geek Cause.
For episode...
What is this, 3 now?
3, yeah.
Officially episode 3. We've done so many, it's hard to keep count.
Like there was the pilot episode, that makes it confusing, but then we re-recorded the first 2, so there's an extra 2 in there, but they're not there.
Plus the fact that we started off the pilot episode as episode 0, so...
Yeah.
Anyways, it's a very exciting episode because we have a very...
Me! Oh, no.
We have a very special guest that's not Kyle for once, so I'm sorry, but you're not the most important person in the room today.
God damn it. I agree to this.
My good pal, Rich.
Hello, hello.
Rich, it is so nice to hear your voice. It's been a long while. I love hearing your charismatic undertones. I don't know where I was going with that.
It has been a while. We worked together on a few projects, 1 or 2, and I've always enjoyed you as a fellow creative, as us posh people in the States call each other.
We call each other fellow creatives in a posh manner. So you go into you go up to somebody that just the top 1% of people, and you're just like, "Hello, my fellow creative."
Oh, hello.
I inherited my money from my father. But yeah, we've worked on a couple things. You have actually been far more creative than me, and for a long time now. You've worked on many things. You've had a website, a YouTube channel. Years
ago. Oh god, I'm making myself feel old now.
We are old.
When I first got into the blogging game, I had a site called Richie D Rants, which people to this day will still call me Richie D because of that site.
I mean, it's so catchy.
It was pretty catchy.
Was on the topic sheet, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it has also it has stuck with me as well. But yeah, that really kind of hooked me into blabbing about video games and having people give me that satisfaction of paying attention to me for a little bit. And then,
oh yeah, no one ever did that before. You forget we went to school together. I remember how popular you were.
You don't need your dirty secrets.
You don't need to brush it under the rug. Yeah, I was just this nobody. Just the bee's knees, as they say back in the States. They don't say that. They don't say that.
So is the States actually like a bad 90s sitcom?
Yes.
That's what it's like.
Pretty much. We really haven't gotten past the worst episode of Seinfeld as a culture yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I view America just as
an episode.
How I see Seinfeld.
Yeah. That's pretty dead on.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, but after Richie D Rants, I took a little school enforced hiatus because college is very hard. And I eventually started up Gaming Tech United with Cody. He wrote a few articles on that website, and we would bounce ideas off each other. And that was probably my most successful venture into the video game creative space. I was exchanging emails with Ubisoft and Bandai Namco, and really enjoyed the space for a while. But again, school caught up to me and said, "Hey, we know that you are enjoying yourself, having fun creating things, but you're also paying tens of thousands of dollars to be here. So don't be a loser and do your homework." So I said, "Oh, okay, I'll do that." But I've been dabbling, getting back into it, but it's really been a thing where I don't want to force myself into it. I want to get into it because I want to get into it so that the product doesn't suffer.
Right, you want to be able to put as much attention as possible, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying. It sucks. It sucks too because I remember at the time when we you had asked me about it, because I remember I was super about Richie D Rants, and I was telling you how awesome it was, and I'd like to do stuff like that. And
I want to be you.
I mean, yeah, for all intents and purposes, we'll go with that. And we were kind of talking about it, and then you were like, "Oh, I set this stuff up," and I was like, "Oh, it's super cool." And I remember I was really, really excited about it. But at the time, all I was doing was focusing on work. I was just working 40 hours a week and just constantly working. And I had it wasn't that I don't want to say that I didn't have a drive to create the content, but I was still in the mindset of you know, what do they say that's that sort of you're not tired, you're uninspired. And I was constantly saying, oh, I'm too tired to work on this. I'm too tired to work on that because I did this, I did that. I'm worked all night and I don't feel like doing this. But I would come up with these ideas and I'd be like, oh, this is so great. But if I do it, no one's going to look at it. No one's going to be interested in it. No one's going to do that. So why waste my time doing it? You know, you kind of start to doubt yourself a little bit.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
I remember I made like you said, I made a few articles and then like I talked to you about several others and I tried to get into doing videos. But every time I started like trying to record, I was like, oh, this is shit. This isn't good. I'm not doing it good. Like, Rich has it come off so natural, and I'm not. And I was like, man, I can't get this to come out right. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm working. I can't focus more attention into it. I can't. And I just kind of like gave up. And I remember I felt so bummed when like you continued to go on with it, and I wasn't putting in like, you know, any contribution, and then all of a sudden you like ended it, and I was like, I feel so bad because like I wanted to do that, and I just kind of like, he just sat there and he was putting in all this work and doing all this shit and kept it going, and then I'm just like, oh no, I'll screw off.
I want to say that
it, like, oh, did you do it?
I want to say that it went for, I think I started in 2014 or 13, and it ended in August 2016. I think is when I
about 2016
it off.
It was, and I remember you didn't really say you were done. I just didn't see anything from you anymore.
Yeah. And
I was like,
it was definitely, oh, okay, I think I'm done with this for now, kind of a thing.
I mean,
it's also a thing where like, and I hate this to sound like a humble brag, but for a channel that had like 200 or 300 subscribers at the time when I ended it, I mean, there were times I think the most viewed video on there, I think was like 21,000. And then the next was like 15,000. And when you get those numbers, when you're routinely upload videos are only getting like 100, 200, 300, it can get really hard to really have that passion about it, which is, I think, why I stepped away, because it was like, I don't want to keep doing this just to do it. I want to feel passionate about it. And when it was to the point where I was like, oh man, I'm not getting 1,000 views on this video, and I'm making myself feel bad, I'm not going to I'm not going to put that effort into it if my heart's not in the right place with it. So,
and that makes sense. I mean, you had a complete right thought process about it. I've always been the type that it's like, you know, if this thing gets 20 views, whatever, like as long as I like it. And I started getting that mentality once I spent those couple of years, you know, after we had first originally started stuff. And I was like actually starting to create content. I was like, man, I'm tired of feeling like shit because I'm not getting I'm not getting this praise that I need, right? That I think that I need. And then I stopped and I was like, why? I've always said that I do this because I think it's funny and because like me and my friends enjoy watching it or listening to it, or because of this reason or that reason. Like, you know, when I was streaming and stuff like that, and I started to get like a few concurrent viewers and stuff, and I was like, oh man, like people would always come into it, and I would constantly let you kind of let yourself fall into this trap of like, but I'm not big, so I'm not important. So why do it? And I think it was just the last like probably few years now that I've been like, why do I care?
Give a shit, really?
Yeah, why do I give a shit? Like there's if I like doing it, whatever. And if I have two people that enjoy what I'm doing and want to watch it every single time or listen to it and actually appreciate it, that's more than enough, because that's two people that are getting something from what I do, including myself and anybody that cares about me that wants to see
that's enough.
Exactly.
The small gratitudes are enough as well. Like, I'd be talking to people and I'd get like messages off people and they'd quote the podcast in a conversation. Like something that I'd said or you've said, and it's just a weird feeling.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Even though it's one person, they remembered this one thing that I said in an hour-long podcast.
And it's like that stuff that's those sort of moments that you should really highlight on, because the internet's so saturated nowadays, right? With so much content creators, and it's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. The issue though is that because there's so many people, you shouldn't feel bad if your thing isn't what's recognized or like, you know, like isn't getting super popular, because there's so much of what everybody does, and it doesn't mean that what you're doing is bad. It just means that, you know, those people took off more, and they have, you know, certain personalities that it works right with that sort of like content. So I just I don't know. I guess the best thing is just not let yourself get upset about it. And if you keep up with it and you keep doing it, like you said, I mean, you had like about 300 or give or take subscribers, and you would get views like sometimes thousands, and then sometimes like only hundreds, and sometimes less. But you did it consistently enough that you got to that. You did it consistently, and you put out good content, and you did it enough that you actually saw return once in a while from that. And it's funny that if we just look at it from when we were older now, and we actually have like that sort of respect for it, and we were like, man, I wish we would have just like saw that and been like, oh yeah, it is doing it's working. Then you would have like you probably could be up higher, or even if you were the same, you'd still be enjoying it. Yeah,
and I still look, like you said, I look back and I had a really good relationship with Bandai Namco, or whatever they were at the time. And looking back, it was like, man, the press people there enjoyed my review of Dragon Ball Xenoverse so much, and it got enough traction that I didn't even have to request a second or a copy of the sequel to that game. They were just like, yeah, we're sending you one. You're on our list. And like looking back, they're like, that's badass.
That's something that not everybody gets. You know what I mean? That's something that someone there had to have appreciated what you did and wanted to make sure that you got, a chance to experience that again.
Like that had to go up the chain of command.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I wish. That's always what everybody says. I wish I had the knowledge when I was younger. Yeah. Kyle, take our examples, right? Take mine and Rich's examples as old men, and just do the shit that you love doing, and just keep with it.
I already do that.
There you go. Well, guess what? You're already better than us, you little smug bastard.
Well, I knew that already. That's why I'm the better co-host.
Yeah, well, I was hoping for once you wouldn't bring that up in a podcast, but that's fine.
I'm going to bring it up every podcast till I have someone say it.
Just degrade me more. It's fine.
Like if someone says it other than my mother, then I'll stop saying it. I'm drawing that line in the sand. If that happens, I'll drop it.
Fair enough. I'll accept that. Moving on from some past stuff, let's get into current affairs. Rich, how has your day been today? How have things been going in your life nowadays?
My life is surprisingly good these days.
Surprisingly?
Yeah. Man, when I graduated from school, not to get all Debbie Downer on the podcast, but things were like really, really bad in my life for a while. For like, I'd say 12-month stretch, 15-month stretch. It was rough. And then I found this job here locally, working as a marketing rep, or the marketing rep, because I'm the only person there. But things have been really great over the past like year and a half that I've been there. Or I think it's a little more, just barely a little bit more than a year. But things have been really, really good. I've kind of got my like creative mojo back that I had lost there for a bit, as lame as that sounds. But
I mean,
happens, things are good, man.
I mean, I see you posting stuff related to the job, and then also things that you make memes out of certain things that's hilarious. So looking at some of them, like what was that? Like stuff with food. What was that? It was a little bit ago now. What was?
Oh yeah. So one of the things for my job is that every day I need anywhere between 1 to 3 social media posts for our social channels. So I'm scouring like, what day is it? Websites like what national? So my favorite thing is when it's like, oh, today's National Sugar Cookie Day, or today's like National Summer Sausage Day. And the best part about my job is that I work at a massage therapy trade school. So it's a lot of hands-on work that the students do. And I'm always in there like shooting photographs, not guns. So
America's different than I remember.
Glad you clarified. I was going to ask that question.
So one of my favorite things to do is on those days where it's a National Food Day is to Photoshop away the students and put in the food, because it's hands-on work. It looks like, they're holding a massive burrito or rubbing a pile of cookies. And it always gets a good reaction out of our audience. And the students are always like, oh, I can't believe you did that. Ha, 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 ha. So
this is the content that I've signed up for. If you want to see this content, you need to check it out, because it really is. I don't know why. It's been that's like that type of like creating those type of images and stuff like that is older than the internet itself.
It really
and
is.
they're always still so funny. It doesn't matter. It's always still so hilarious.
No matter
to see
how
this stuff.
dumb they are.
Like if you get a good enough Photoshop job in there, I mean, hell, you can do it in Paint and have it do good enough, and it still looks great.
Like in some cases, like the worse the Photoshop is, the better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've legitimately had one of the students tell me one of their friends asked them. Now, mind you, this is a picture of a full-grown woman holding a burrito that is the size of her, and they said, "Is that burrito real?"
Oh boy. Oh. I love it. That's hilarious.
I would have said yes.
So what you're telling me is that your life is pretty good right now.
Yeah, things are good creatively. I have no real complaints right now.
And now you're gonna start creating more gaming content because that's I think that's what everyone wants to see. Is that what I heard? I heard something along those lines. I don't know. I'm just making speculations.
Well,
here.
I mean, things are in motion. Things I wouldn't say that they're rolling yet, but maybe they've kind of got up off the couch.
They grabbed the remote and they're starting to change the channel.
Yeah.
This is Geek Cause breaking news here, so it is.
Oh yeah, if you become millionaire famous, it broke here first. So make sure to give your guys over here at the Geek Cause a special shout out, and we would love to be a part of whatever you plan on doing.
While you're on your throne of gold, and we're still like scattering down below.
Yeah. If I mean. Just to be upfront, I mean, I don't know if it's happening or not, but if I do get back into the video game space, it's definitely going to be with Gaming Tech United again. I mean, it's a quote unquote established brand, but also I'm just lazy and really don't feel like thinking of a whole entire brand of things to do. And I like that name.
It's a good brand. When I was coming up with, certain things, I was like, oh, it's so good. I wonder if I should just message Rich and see if I can steal his idea.
Dude, no joke. I had a whiteboard. Like, this is how it happened. I had a whiteboard in my room, and I wrote down maybe 13 names, and I would just, I think over the course of a few days, I would just erase them. And the more the one I hated the least, at the end of a couple days, the one that didn't make me want to erase it, that was the one I went with. So
I mean, it works. It's catchy. It's nice. I enjoy it. I'm not going to tell you why our podcast name is the way it is. It's better. It's a better story for another time. If we get at least 5 people commenting and saying that they would like to know the origin, maybe we'll say it. But
it's a milestone thing.
But it's. I mean, it's not like it's necessarily bad, but it's risky. Yeah, it's something that
it's dancing dangerously close to the line.
It's a little risque if you're living over here in the Irish land. Yeah. So we'll leave it at that, and it's nice to hear about that. I'm glad to hear that your creative juices are flowing again, and that you're having a good life, and that there's a chance that you might be starting this whole thing back up again. I would love to see it, and I'd love to help out in any way that I can, of course, and I'm sure Kyle wouldn't mind either. Speaking of Kyle,
hi
Kyle, how have you been?
Back to me.
Oh, here it is.
Oh yes,
it's already hot enough in this room.
You
I don't
waited
need
for this.
Hot breath talking more about how great you are
with our super special guest. It's like not enough time for me. I'm gonna take my time with this.
All right, here you go.
So my week was it was pretty good. Monday, woke up, did nothing.
Oh my god, is this what we're gonna have to live with?
Tuesday, no, I'm not doing that. No, pretty basic week, did nothing. Like from when we recorded the last podcast to now, woke up, played games, went to sleep.
Am I going to have to start incentivizing you to start posting to the social media page? Do I have to start throwing euros at you to get you to do something here? Maybe I need to start giving you a job of 1 to 3 social media presences a week or something like that.
I'm not going to lie to you. When he said that, I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of a good idea.
There you go, Rich. You're already inspiring.
There you go. You've already given me a quota.
I'm on my phone looking at stuff consistently every day, hoping I can find something that's good enough to talk about, and asking questions, talking to people, anyone that responds on some of the social media. And then Kyle's over here I think I'll wake up today. I think it's gonna happen.
I might. I'll wake up at 3, and then I'm like, oh, go to bed early tonight, get a nice early start. Then it's 5 in the morning, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, this has happened.
Great. I love it.
I did nothing much.
Someone's got to be
Watched a lot of tennis.
watched a lot of tennis.
Oh,
Wasn't it the
Yeah,
Wimbledon
so
or whatever
last
going
week
on
of
last
Wimbledon,
week?
so it was,
Yeah.
so
It was. I
final was on
watched a
Sunday.
couple games of it. It wasn't
Some
bad.
good stuff. I posted on the Instagram asking if you'd let me talk about tennis on the podcast.
you want to talk about tennis on podcast? I mean, it is a game.
Technically speaking, it is a game.
It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's technical. I think it's just straight
I won't
up a
bore
game.
you with it.
Okay,
Just know that it
perfect.
was some good stuff. Some
You have
good
anything
tennis.
interesting that you want to talk about, Rick? Maybe related to, I don't know, something that we do.
Something like on topic with the podcast? No.
All right.
Just tennis. Nothing else.
Thanks for asking. I'm doing great as always.
I didn't ask.
I've been. This is. We have a guest here, Kyle. We have a guest here.
I'm sorry.
Show me respect, Kyle.
I'm sorry, Cody.
Yeah, no, I've just been trying to come up with more ideas of what we can do. I've already got another. This is in no way downplaying anything with you, Rich, but I already got another guest scheduled for the next 2 weeks that I figure I'll tell you about now since I got you here.
You're telling me this now.
Yes, yeah. Already getting that set up, another content creator, so that's gonna be good. I mean, we're getting things rolling. We got things going good. Getting ready for the family's gonna be here next month, so just getting all planned for that.
As well as Dublin Comic Con.
Dublin Comic Con. We're gonna be going to Dublin Comic Con. Hey, Rich, you should come down to Dublin Comic Con.
Saturday, August 12th, you know?
It's only €26 for a ticket. Don't ask how much the plane ticket is.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Just
just
swim.
Need to know.
You just swim. Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just get a one-way.
Yeah, just get a one way. How would he get back? He just
You
stays.
figure that out.
You could be a social media presence person for you're a media person straight from Dublin. You don't need to be anywhere there to take the pictures. Just set up cameras. You'd be grand.
All right, perfect.
So no, we're getting excited for that to do that. Some good news that I'll give everybody that listens to the podcast and you guys. Is that, in case anybody didn't know, I'm currently here living with my wife in Ireland. Shout out to my wife who
Gotta get that in there.
needed me to say that. And we had some good news. She actually got approved for her visa to go to the U.S. It only took 7 months to actually get to the part where we can start actually getting her the visa. So 7 months later and $1,500, we're on our way to getting her to the States. Anybody that thinks it's easy to get to the States has obviously never actually done it. So we're almost there. We're almost ready to head over the pond and start working on stuff. So it's
Then we'll have to be recording these over the internet.
I mean,
I'll have to actually spend money on this.
you actually spend. Do you not have internet?
I have internet. I need to buy a microphone.
You're not.
The only microphones that I own are the one on my earphones.
Oh yeah,
And
that's high quality.
And I have an Xbox One branded headset.
All right, well throw it all in the trash. So yeah, other than that, things are just pretty average. So great. Glad we're able to talk about that. Rich talks about how amazing his life is, all these great things. How he's
nothing.
And we have nothing. Let's just go on to the topics, everybody.
Our lives are depressing.
I think Kyle wants to do a special shout out right now for a little topic.
I'm going to do a special shout out to all the Kyles out there who will be the front lines in storming Area 51. And say I respect you all. I'm proud to be a part of you. Godspeed to you all.
We'll be cracking open a Monster Energy drink for you on that day, hoping that everything will work out good.
Hope it goes well. Apparently it's been live streamed.
Oh my! So Rich, tell me, have you heard about this?
Have I heard about this? If you check Lakewood School of Therapeutic Massage's social media page, you will see a post about it.
Oh God! Okay, wait. I might need to see this. We might need to see this real quick.
I'm kind of scared.
So here I have it now. There's no reason to storm Area 51 with 1.1 million of your closest friends when you can get out of this world education or massage right here at Lakewood School of Therapeutic Massage. That's
yeah.
Oh, and then we got the alien emojis. Oh,
and then you link the page as well.
You know, I don't normally say this, but kudos.
That's actually
Kudos to
good.
you. That's really good.
You should get a raise.
Thank you.
So in case anybody in case anybody else doesn't know what we're talking about, there's currently a Facebook page with now at 1.3 million saying that they're going, and 1 million interested to storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. That's the name of the page. It's apparently going to happen September 20th, 2019 at 3 a.m. until 6 a.m. Pacific. Wait, what is that? I thought it was PST. What's PDT? Does anybody actually know what that is? I thought it was PST. Pacific Standard Time.
I thought it was PST as well, yeah.
All right, whatever. That's irrelevant.
Time zone.
The relevant part is people are making memes about storming Area 51, but there are some serious people based on what I've gathered, and it's gotten enough attention that apparently there was a statement from Area 51 pretty much saying that if anybody crosses over the lines, like they're not afraid to shoot on sight. Like they have full right to do so. In case you're interested, let me give you the details of the page. We will all meet up at Area 51 Alien Center tourist attraction and coordinate our entry. If we Naruto run, we can move faster than their bullets. Let's see them aliens.
You can also buy Storm Area 51 merch.
Ooh. So, I just want to say, anybody that actually plans on doing this or going, for the few, you're the best of us, but also, Godspeed, you're probably going to get arrested and or shot, and I'm sorry, but it might be worth it. It might be worth it in the long run.
It's already worth it.
Well, they're sending in the first wave of Kyles.
Yeah, we're unstoppable.
So we'll go off of that and we'll see what happens. But yeah, just figured we'd make sure everyone knows about the Storming Area 51 page. So our first topic today, Nintendo Switch Lite. The best part about this is 15 minutes before we were done recording the last podcast, they actually announced the Nintendo Switch Lite.
Yeah.
And me and Kyle missed that deadline, and it was
so close.
Super upsetting. But and in case everybody else doesn't know, there's a new Nintendo Switch announced. What is it coming out this fall?
This fall, yeah.
And it's basically a smaller Nintendo Switch that can't dock and show up on TV. There's way more specs to it, but
it's smaller and does less things apparently.
So it won't connect to a TV. It doesn't plug into the dock and it doesn't connect to the TV. Yes, it does. It doesn't switch. It's smaller in size. The Joy-Cons don't disconnect, and it has a D-pad instead of like the buttons for the directionals. I think it's everything else about it is pretty much similar. Battery is a little bit better. The battery is a little bit better on it, and there's different colors for the models. Since you're our guest, Rich, for these topics, we would love to get first opinion from you. What is your opinion on the Nintendo Switch Lite? Tell us how you feel about it.
I mean, it's not for me. Plain and simple. It's not something that interests me. I was a day one adopter of the original Switch, I guess is what we're calling it. I don't know.
Same. Yeah, the original Switch.
It really hasn't got a lot of use out of me, if I'm going to be honest. I've played a lot of the big first party titles, but just really hasn't jumped into my hands like my PS4 controller seems to always do. But I think that this is a good option for, if you have a family of 3 kids and you've already bought one Switch and you need to throw a few more into their like greasy little grubby hands. That's a great option. But I don't know that. I don't know. I'm sure this will latch on because it seems like almost everything that Nintendo does latches on with some sort of market. But it's not for me. I would like, though, when it comes to the D-pad, I know they've come out and said that it's not going to happen, but I would love to see
and said that?
A detachable Joy-Con with the directional pad. They said that right now there's no plans to.
Oh, so that's kind of frustrating.
This is bad. Yeah.
So as it stands, it's not something that you're in the market for.
No, I mean it's tempting because unboxing Nintendo products is always fun.
It's always
I love unboxing.
Feels so
new things, and it's going to be tough when I start seeing like it pop up on YouTube. But I think it's not for me right now.
Okay, fair enough. Kyle, what about you?
Well, I never bought a Nintendo Switch in the first place. Not because I didn't really want to. It's just I'd only buy it for Legend of Zelda.
Fair enough.
That was pretty much the only reason
Not
I could
a Nintendo
see
boy. Okay.
myself buying it. So I love Legend of Zelda. So I never went MOA to do it, but just looking at the Lite, it's got a mini again. The Lite, I don't see the major purpose of it. Like, yeah, it's smaller and more portable, but it's pretty much just the Switch that can do less things.
Yeah.
It's like you want a Switch, but you don't want to play, like, you don't want to pay the price of the full thing. So we're going to give you this version that's just smaller and not as good.
So would you say that this was a smart move on Nintendo, or you think this is actually something doesn't make much sense?
For a caring about your product part, I don't think it was a smart move, but for a making money part, it was a genius move.
So you think it'll sell?
Yep.
Oh, it's going to make so much money.
Okay.
It's going to work the same way as they made like 50 million different versions of the DS.
Oh, I totally agree.
All right.
I totally agree.
I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate here and say that I love my Nintendo Switch. Currently, it's the only console I have with me here in Ireland, other than my computer, which I play most of my games on as PC. So, you know, when it comes to consoles, I'm whatever. I wouldn't say I'm a Nintendo fanboy, but
You are.
I really, really enjoy Nintendo products, but I'm in no way like I don't think they're without faults. I don't think that they don't have issues. I mean, the Wii U was probably the biggest disaster that they could have came up with in terms of.
I forgot that was a thing.
In terms of anything. But in saying that, like the Nintendo Switch, I get good playtime out of it. I may not like sink all my time into it, but with the range of games available, I know, Rich, you said that you only really play the first-party games, but I think the thing that's cool for me is that for once, Nintendo has actually branched out on a console and got something other than first-party titles.
Yeah, like isn't The Witcher coming to it?
Yeah, a lot of people are on this thing when it comes to the Switch, where they say, oh, it's just a product for shovelware. They don't have, you know, good games. All it is just a bunch of like indie games or just a bunch of like crap games that they just put whatever they want on it. But I think that they fail to realize that that's literally on every system.
Yeah.
And I don't think having options is a bad thing. I think it's great that you can have first party titles, but then you can also have like, obviously it's not called like second party, but like people that work really well with Nintendo generally, like those type of titles are on there as well. But then you can also get these games that I've never heard of before, and then you play them and you're like, that actually wasn't that bad, or
yeah.
I can get a little bit of time from it. I think the Nintendo Switch is a very smart system just from being able to go portable to dock it in, and I play it docked most of the time and I still enjoy it. When it comes to the Switch Lite, personally, I'll agree with you, both of you guys. It's not for me, only because I have a Switch. So I don't need another Switch, especially if that Switch can do less.
Yeah, like look at someone from my position, I don't own a Switch. So if I was going to go and buy one of these consoles, I'd rather just buy an actual Switch rather than the Lite. I wouldn't go on my way to get the Lite.
Exactly. And I think when it comes to this as itself, I think the product is fine because it's an option. I don't know if it was necessary or if it's that good of an option. I mean, it'll still sell because like people will love it. You know, the Nintendo fanboys will love it, and then the people that have kids that never want them to attach it to a dock and put it on their TV, and they only want their kids to just run around with it, it'll work great for them as well. In terms of like its actual use, I think it's lacking severely, and I think it's not that great. But it's super, super cool that Nintendo is offering this, like options to people. That's what every company should always focus on, especially when it comes to hardware, to me, is giving options. Because the minute that some of the worst times that I can think of in history when it came to consoles were when it was, here is Nintendo 64 or a PlayStation 1 or, a Sega or a Super Nintendo, and that's all you have, and you just choose that, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you have no options with anything for it. You have to get this one thing fits all, no matter what. And it was a time when obviously that's all there was, but it limited you. So then it was like, all right, well, I mean, I guess I'll just buy this $300 console for, these things, even though maybe I want something different. And then during the Xbox 360 era, they started like, okay, well, now here's an Elite, which is just a bigger hard drive, which, I mean, at the time, that was like the shit for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I got an Elite.
Because you couldn't upgrade your hard drive unless you knew how to do that. You know what I mean? And everyone was like, "Oh yeah, Elite, let me get that." Oh yeah, a PS4 Slim, which really wasn't that,
Yeah.
or PS3 Slim, which really is PS2 Xbox 360 era. Come on, Cody, I know you're old and you've been here for a lot of systems, but please, which really didn't do much, but it was like just like a sleeker design, and the times when people didn't have options, I think were like not as good times because you didn't, it didn't give you, it was just like, I'll get this console, that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what you get. You get this console that it sucks in most ways. It's way too big, but you have to live with it if you want that console. Or it has these really assy controllers, but you're stuck with it.
Like, I get that, but at the same time, I feel like if you're going to give options, it should be worth it in some way.
Yeah.
It's like they're making the Switch Lite has less features, but the main pulling point is that it's more portable. But I thought the whole point of the Switch in the first place was that it's portable.
I get what you're saying.
So, like, what is the actual point? When you see, like, with the Xbox, they'll release multiple versions of it, like, with minor changes.
Well, I mean, look at
like the PlayStation Slim. It's like, it's not necessary.
No, and I that's why I say, like, I really don't feel like this is necessary. But at the same time, you talk like, oh, it's already supposed to be portable. Look at laptops. You can get one laptop that's still portable and you can still take with you, or you can get this other type of laptop that you literally can fit inside of, like, a paper bag and take it wherever you want with you, and it be like not any hassle ever. And some people prefer those tiny designs or the more portability because it's easy. It's just like how there's smartphones out there that you can get that are the size of tablets.
Yeah.
They're phablets, phone tablets, and like, oh, let me get this Samsung Note. But there are people that actually absolutely hate that because it's too big for them, and they don't see it being as easily portable because they wear tighter clothing, or they're wearing like a dress and stuff like that, and it doesn't work well with them. So I mean, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, there is a market for this, and I do see people. I wish it was cheaper than $100 though.
Yeah, I think this will do great over in Japan. I think this is going to sell gangbusters over there.
It'll kill in Japan because, for one, the price alone for them, when it comes to like just that small difference, it'll matter so much for them.
Yeah.
For the portability aspect of it, because it like, I'm pretty sure that one of the main from what I read, one of the main issues that people had in Japan, whereas they said that the Switch itself was a little too big to be portable. I mean, it did great, but you had a lot of people that were going on saying like, oh, well, it's a little too big to actually be easily portable. I have to carry it around. I can't stick it in my pocket or whatever. Which for us, that's like, so? But for like an economy and a country where almost all of their most major devices that they use every single day when it comes to gaming or anything is like, you put it in your back pocket and you're gone.
Yeah.
Because they're just constantly working, or they're constantly, going to school, and they're doing these things, and it's so much easier for them just to have something that can be like, let me just pull this out, and take a poop and beat this level in Mario, and then put it back down and put it back in my pants and go.
What I'm curious about is the durability of it. Now that it's meant smaller, it's trying to be more portable. Like in the little video they released, it's like, they're in a skate park having a great time. What if I dropped it down a skate ramp? What kind of damage is that going to do to it?
Yeah.
Like, if it drops and lands on the corner and gets that nice bounce, what's that going to do to it?
and the drifting with the analog sticks, like, if that's a thing that is present with these, it's not like you can just click it off and go spend, what is it, $70, $90 on some Joy-Con.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
I mean, what do you do? Do you hope that you're under warranty and send it into Nintendo? Do you, God forbid, you crack it open? I mean, I know for a big part of the gaming audience, that is a really scary idea of opening something and seeing those ribbon cables all over.
Yeah, I was actually just about to mention that, and the fact that one of my least the things that makes the Switch most frustrating for me is the controller's drifting problem, because even though, like, apparently it only affects a certain percentage of them, I know it's greater. It's good. It's big enough that I can Google search it online and see a hefty amount of people talking about it, and I experience it.
Yeah.
I have 2 pairs of controllers that I bought at release of the Switch, and within 3 months of less than moderate usage, I was starting to notice mild drifting, and then now if I don't every so often of playing, if I don't like just squirt some electrical contact cleaner in there and move the stick around, I'll get such bad drifting problems that I literally cannot like set the controller down without having my character like start running fully the other way. It's
it seems like a pretty big flaw.
It's super heinous, and the flaw is, and like the thing is like I've watched a few videos of people like taking it, like opening up the and it's pretty straightforward, but for someone that has no technological sort of side to them, or like taking things apart, just like anything, you know what I mean? Like it's very scary, to do that. Like you said, Rich, and the issue is the material that they use that's like where the stick is. It rubs the way that it goes like left and right and up and down to track its up and down, left and right motions. Is there's like this like little plate there that's made out of like some sort of like graphite material, and when you rub it enough, it's actually the reason why electrical contact cleaner works in most cases is because it's rubbing off that graphite, since it's like a really like weird material, and those little dust particles get into where the sensors are to track the left and right motions, and that's what's causing it. It seems like such a dumb oversight where all you need to do was put a piece of metal there or a piece of plastic instead of something that has a powdery residue.
Yeah. Seems like
and obviously
easy fix as well.
It's a cost thing.
Yeah.
Obviously. But if that's the same way that these, the Nintendo Switch Lite's controllers are built, there's going to be nothing you can do, because first of all, it's not going to be just taking apart a controller. You'll have to take apart that whole back end of the Switch, which will automatically void your warranty on it. And even if you can get it all off properly, because I've watched how to take those apart, it's going to be difficult to replace that analog stick. And even then, it could still happen again. You're gonna do that like every 6 months if you play it like super heavily, like who knows how often? No, it's I don't know.
And especially in that kid market. I mean, is soccer mom Linda gonna pop open the back of their Switch? No.
No, and is she going to email Nintendo and be like, let me do this, and then get all the packaging and send it out properly and hope that... No, she's not going to do that. She's going to take it down to, We Fix Electronics R Us and hope that they can fix it. Yep. You know what I mean? And it's I don't know. What it comes down to is with the Nintendo Switch Lite, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think that... it's the best thing ever, and I'm definitely not looking forward for it. But I do see its place if they fix these sort of issues and they can assure us that it's not going to be like. It already can't play games that aren't able to be played in handheld, which is very few. Most games can be played in handheld, but there are a few games that are not handheld compatible. So if you're gonna cut out that, and then you start cutting out other games that maybe come out later in the future that like maybe are more graphical intensive or something like that. Are you going to cut those out?
Is it going to have that longevity when it comes to new releases and stuff? Exactly.
So I think what we've all come in agreement then is it'll do well, and it's not necessarily bad to have that option, but it's not necessary, and we won't be looking forward to getting it.
Unless it had a really cool gimmick that came with it, other than it comes in different colors.
Yeah, the colors are cool, though. I'll give it that. The colors that it comes with are actually really nice.
Like, if it had, like, a built-in cup holder, now that, I'd buy it.
I'd have to get it. Where would you do with that? It doesn't even have a kickstand like the original Switch.
Just to have it.
What would you do?
Ever had like a straw attachment so you can put like your drink like attached to the back of it, have a straw coming over?
It has to have a Game Boy styled printer.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so whatever. I mean, when they release the Nintendo Switch that's more powerful, I'll hop on that. But
I probably will too.
But not the Nintendo Switch Lite. Rich, who just got done saying that he barely plays the Switch, I gotta get that as well. I'll definitely get that.
It's just to put it beside his Switch and not touch it.
You're talking to a guy who, when the PS4 Pro came out, waited about a day. I said, I don't need this. I have my PlayStation 4. Everything's great. And then I checked the stock on GameStop across the street. I said, well, I can't just let that sit there.
All right.
But speaking of Nintendo.
Oh
yeah. Keep on the Nintendo topics. Pokemon, Cody and Rich. Do you like Pokemon?
Oh yeah, it's
I do.
great.
Oh yeah.
Big fan of Pokemon.
Oh, yeah.
Your Magikarps and
Your Magikarps and your Pikachus.
Your Pikachus. With your Pokeballs. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff floating around about the new Pokemon Shield and Sword. Started off like a fairly positive game. Everyone seemed to like it at first.
Yeah, look, everyone was super excited.
You know,
Yeah.
oh, it's gonna be like, you know, like a 3D like Pokemon game. We always wanted this.
Open worlds,
But
and
that's just took a massive nosedive.
objectively, some of the dumbest reasons, but understandable reasons in some respect, but also some of the reasons are...
I wouldn't say dumb and understanding. I think just questionable
Yeah, okay, we'll go
is
with
a
that.
good term to use.
Yeah.
So pretty much what it comes down to is there's this controversy is it started when people they announced pretty much that there wasn't going to be every single Pokemon from all the past games weren't going to be able to be transferred into this new Pokemon.
Understandable.
You know, I can understand getting upset about that. Well, I mean, I was never one to transfer all the Pokemon, anyways, so I guess like it didn't have like a huge effect on me. But I understand the people that did have an issue that I can't take my Charizard that I leveled up in Blue and bring him all the way to this new one like I could to all the other games.
Yeah.
So you know you get that, you understand that part. People were very upset. They kept asking for that to change, or they're asking why it wasn't happening. The lead creator guy came out, and I can't remember his name offhand now. Was it Junichi Masuda? Is he the one that I think came out and actually said, you know, he came out with a statement and said, I'm so happy that you guys have a, you know, this love for Pokemon. We do too. We would love to have all the Pokemon in there, but because of, you know, limitations, we can't have them in. And, you know, we're upset about that. But, you know, in the future titles, we might have these Pokemon back. It's just in this one, we're not going to have it. And pretty much he came out saying, we're not changing it, but we understand why you're upset. This led to people getting more upset. And now after, you know, all these other things, now people are starting to call into question the graphical fidelity. They're saying that the animations are trash. They're saying that the graphics aren't good enough to warrant not having all the Pokemon in, because if you can't even make the texture for a tree good, then how are you going to, you know, like why are you saying you can't focus on Pokemon? You're recycling things. It should all be easy to put in, and stuff like that. So my question to everyone here is kind of, what is your stance on all of this controversy?
Would you like to go first, Mr. Rich?
Yeah. I'll tackle this massive issue.
It is for some.
Oh, believe me, I spent enough time twiddling my thumbs on Reddit at work that I know.
Reddit.
But yeah, I was super into this as soon as I saw the first trailer and I saw that they brought over the Pokemon in the wild with you. I was like, yes, this is like the 3D home console version of Pokemon that I've been wanting. And then things just started falling into place that I was like, oh, well, I don't like this. And the first one, admittedly, kind of dumb. But the fact that we aren't getting the ability for our Pokemon to follow us like we did in the Let's Go games, I know it's such a small thing. That was a big thing that to me, it's a big thing that I thought like made it feel so like true to the anime, like that childhood thing of being able to have your Pokemon by your side. That was a huge thing for
running
me.
along behind you and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of like Pokemon Yellow, or the most recent Let's Go's, like you were saying.
Or the objectively greatest Pokemon games, Soul Silver and Heart Gold. And
yes.
I won't hear any. But yeah, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of truth to the biggest entertainment product or IP in the world right now. I mean, most profitable, I think the stat is, not being able to get a little bit more intricate with their animations. A lot of them are very basic. I think that there should have been a little bit more work. And I understand, you know, they have to have a Pokemon title every year. That's understandable from an income standpoint. You got to appease your investors.
Right.
But at the same point, it's like, if you take a year off and really knock the game out like it should be, I think that you would see that hard work pay dividends in the end. And, maybe that's comes down to the art versus income debate. But yeah, I personally am more turned off of this game than I am really hyped up for it, which kind of bums me out. But yeah, right now I don't think that I'll be picking it up at launch.
Okay, understandable. See, I'm kind of maybe this is like the side of me of I've always been the type of person that I don't like gamers. And this is no offense towards anybody,
Amen.
and I'm gonna get a ton of shit for this.
You're a minority,
But I am a gamer, but I don't like us. And one of the biggest reasons that I don't like gamers is because at the end of the day, we always have something that we're not happy with, and then we think that just because we're not happy with something, that it deserves to be changed.
We're picky assholes.
Yeah. And when it comes to this Pokemon, I 100% understand the issue of not being able to transfer all the Pokemon. Do I think that it is game breaking? No, not by any means. Having over 1,000 Pokemon now, and probably less than half of them are actually used by everybody in any sort of in the game itself, you'd have probably half of those Pokemon being used, and then within the competitive like PvP scene, you'd have half of that half being used, if not less. Yeah. So to me, that aspect, I get being upset that they're not allowing something that they've allowed before. To me, that is a shitty thing because it doesn't 100% make sense. But also, I get why they don't want to put those additional resources to it when it's not going to. I mean, let's be honest with each other. How many of you know the name or have used the Pokemon that is the ice cream cone?
How dare you talk about Cream Guy?
Yeah. And
I can guess this. What's ice cream cone backwards?
I don't know. But I'm not trying to, talk crap on anybody's choice of Pokemon or say that you don't, you don't really deserve, like it shouldn't be in the game. But I'm simply saying it doesn't make sense to how many games can you think of where people have like the game developers have added things that don't bring anything to the game, and then the gamers have came out and said, why'd you add that if it's irrelevant? There's no point in adding it because it does nothing for me. Why would that change with Pokemon? Why add Pokemon that no one gives a shit about, that aren't competitive, that don't have any skills that are beneficial? Like, I get having lore reasons and I get having just like continuity things, but at a certain point, when you get over 1,000 Pokemon, it doesn't make sense to have.
I'll take that one step further, honestly. What I was honestly hoping for, and this was my moonshot hope, that they would have the balls and the resources to do this and just be like, hey, we're scrapping the old Pokemon. We have 150 new Pokemon. And I think that doing that would cause a hell of a lot of freak out. But I think that it would endear people to the new Pokemon and also build this quote unquote relationship that we have, like the people that are our age, to the original 151 or 2. I think that forcing, again, quote unquote, forcing people into using those Pokemon would be a lot better. And again, I think you get better animations, you get better, a lot of things. If you had not 800, 900 Pokemon to worry about.
And, I think I personally agree with you in that sense, is that if you even cut down that roster by half, then there's a lot of these things that could have been improved on. I get that they could push back the game. I'm not disputing that. I don't think anybody here really is disputing that they can, push back the game. But at the same time, how many people, since the Switch has been out, have been begging them for a Pokemon game? And we don't even know how long this game has actually been. People are saying it's only been worked on for a year. There's no way that
people don't understand game development at all.
There's no way that they started work on Pokemon Sword and Shield while just a week before announcing it. That is not what happened. They were working on this They were working on this probably at the same time that they were working, at least, on the Let's Go Pokemon, and they were like, this Let's Go is going to be for people that are introducing into the series and that are kind of getting into this whole thing, and then like it's not like a full on like brand new title, and then we're releasing a brand new Pokemon that will be a Switch one.
Yeah, like you get that if it was just your run of the mill Pokemon game, you'd believe it if they said, oh, they only started development a year ago, but the fact it's going to be like third person open world, it's going to be 3D. It's pretty much uncharted territory for them. So it would have had to been in development a lot longer.
Than you would even think, yeah.
Because this is all new stuff for them. They'll have to make new game mechanics. Like their code for how the game controls would have to change. Because they'd have to add in, we're going to have to move the camera now. That's going to be a thing.
Right.
So they'd have to redo everything from the ground up.
And I agree. I totally agree. I just think that Pokemon fans, because as much as we talk about how creative Pokemon is, it's still a yearly franchise. It's an annual release franchise. And I think that Pokemon fans need to kind of understand that when you take that leap, like we've talked about, a lot of games, your sports games, it happened with Assassin's Creed too. Mm-hmm. When you take that leap, that first game is usually a little bare. It's whether it be function-wise, feature-wise, graphical-wise, like it's not. Sometimes that leap that you have to take, there's that kind of resting year. As a person who used to be really deep into sports games, I remember that first jump from the PS2 to the PS3 era. It was like, where did all my features go in like a game like Madden? Well, they were stripped out because they had so much other things to work on. And I'm not making excuses, but I think that the Pokemon fan base is kind of getting a taste of what the rest of the industry is like right now.
Not even just the rest of the industry. I would even go as far as to say the rest of entertainment industry in a whole, because movies, shows, all these other things, like with music and stuff like that, people are creating different levels of it and doing certain movies aren't throwing everything in there all at once, and they're setting things up for sequels and stuff, which, a lot of people have always said, oh, I hate when they do that. But they're doing it in a way by cutting certain things out, not because they want to make more money from it, but because they're trying to add a different sort of level of depth and also creating different storylines. Tell me how many movies that came out back in the 90s and early 2000s that were never intended to have sequels, and then they got sequels, and they were the worst sequels ever because they added on a movie that wasn't even there, was never put there. And now and everyone said, don't make movies that, weren't intended to have sequels, leave them as this single thing. Well, now people are setting up movies for sequels, you know what I mean? At least kind of allowing enough of a open-ended thing to create this. And now everyone's saying, oh, you never end things in one movie, you never set these things up for one. And it's like, when it comes to games and Pokemon specifically, these people that are coming in and questioning graphical fidelity in these animations, there is certain issues. I will give it that. But first of all, you're talking about the Switch, which already has not as good graphics as everything else.
How dare you?
They were bringing in the question one still of one tree and saying how terrible that was in terms of graphics.
It's game breaking, Cody. And it's game breaking.
Yeah. They put up a side by side comparison of that and a tree from Ocarina of Time, and I'm sorry, even looking at it from the worst type of light, the tree in Pokemon still looked better. I mean, I love Ocarina of Time is one of my favorite Nintendo 64 games. So it's not that I don't enjoy Ocarina of Time.
And then I've seen people making the comparison oh, here's a tree in the new Pokemon, and here's a tree from Witcher 3.
And it's like,
you can't make that comparison.
Yeah. That's, I mean, it's, at some point it becomes also artistic style. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to look at Pokemon and see the character look like Geralt from Riveria, you know what I mean? He's not going to look like that.
Hyper-realistic Pokemon would be the stuff of nightmares.
Plus, you can look at other video shots and other stills, and the graphics actually look really, really well done. Yeah. And the Pokemon themselves actually look pretty clean.
Same with some of the animations. The attack animations are simple and very bare bones. But then like their idle animations and stuff is amazing. The way like they move and just their like
some of their special stuff
and
is
their steps like.
But I mean, people were calling the question. I don't know what this corgi Pokemon was. It was cute. I don't know what its actual like name is. But I remember a big thing was they showed a animation of the corgi Pokemon waggling its butt for Tail Whip, and they were saying, "Look how terrible it looks because it's kind of like shaking from side to side," and it's like. But that's actually what the animation has been in every single Pokemon that has done animations like that. That's always what Tail Whip has been. And also, who uses Tail Whip past when your Pokemon can actually use it? I mean, I get you people wanting more out of it. You want better graphics, I get it. I understand it, but you're playing a Pokemon game that has never been about graphics. You want better animations, I get it, but you want better like, do you want, like, each individual Pokemon that has a tail to be able to use Tail Whip and its tail physically move, even though you'll never use Tail Whip, probably ever? Is there a point to doing that? I get having polish, but there's a difference between having polish for 1,000 different Pokemon and having polish where the game itself. How many Pokemon games can you tell me that there's game breaking bugs to without going out of your way to find them?
Yeah.
I mean,
and have they really come out and said a number yet of how many Pokemon are in the game?
What's not?
They haven't said how many is going to be in the game yet.
All right.
So that's my thing. It's like, yeah, maybe. And again, I'm spitballing, but what if it's like, yeah, there's 600 or 500? Like, that's still a lot of fucking Pokemon.
I mean, it's not anything to snuff at. It's a sizable amount. I mean, it's not like you're getting screwed over. You're not getting 50 Pokemon and you have to choose. I think it's a matter of people just not. I understand it if you don't want to get the game because of this. Okay, fine. I'll let it like. I think the Pokemon following you, that is a feature that I would love to see as well. I think having some of the other smaller things that actually the biggest things to me are the things that people aren't talking about. Like that you're saying, Rich, is there's not as many people complaining about not having a follower Pokemon. It seems to me everything so far has stemmed from, like, would anybody be calling into question the graphic fidelity and the animations if it wasn't for the fact that they're not allowing all the Pokemon? Yeah, and I had posed this question to Twitter, and I had a few people respond and say, like, you know, like, no, it's 100% odd. We heard nothing from that, because when the game was announced and the original gameplay was shown, everyone was so excited and they were super happy about it. The minute that they said not every single Pokemon would be able to be in the game, that's when all the controversy came. Yeah. So are you really upset that Mr. Corgi Butt can't waggle his tail? Or are you upset because you can't transfer the Pokemon that you want, and so now you're saying, well, if I can't have all my Pokemon, then has to be the best-looking game that's ever existed?
It's a dumb argument. And I feel like they couldn't win no matter what. I feel like if they came out and kept it the exact same, kept everything the same, have all the Pokemon, have it transferable, people would complain, going, oh, it's just the same thing again.
It's just a Pokemon game.
There's just a Pokemon game. But then if they went and changed everything, like Rich said, even going as far as just having, you know, a new 152 Pokemon, people would complain about that. They've tried to go with this middle ground of keeping the old while bringing in some new. And
making it so you have to try out the new more, because maybe it's going to be the old that aren't used, or maybe it's going to be the ones that are overused that are taken out.
They're kind of pushing this direction towards this new generation of Pokemon. I feel like the open world 3D graphics is going to be their path from now on, except for DSs and handhelds and stuff like that. But I think they're trying to kind of push in that direction without jumping too quick. So I feel like it would be a lose-lose situation no matter what for them.
I mean, it always is when it comes to gaming and developers.
Yeah, whenever you change anything or keep it the same, it's a bad thing.
I mean, yeah. And you can even just to real quick, for everyone that like has been bringing up the point of like, well, they're just reusing 3DS models and stuff like that. They actually came out before all of the controversy started and people started actually talking about the models. They came out a month before saying in an interview and said like, oh yeah, we actually aren't using 3DS models. We created all the models from scratch. We decided not to use the 3DS models because it didn't come over and like translate well and didn't look as good. So
I'm just sick of this idea of, yeah, if we bitch enough, a developer will change things. Like
we just talked about
at some
this
point
too.
Just stop. Like there's nothing wrong with, hey, you're a big fan, voice your concerns, but everything doesn't have to change because it's not what you want.
Look at the Game of Thrones ending.
Yeah.
Without going too deep into that, I mean, just look at the Game of Thrones ending, and we're the type of people now, like humans are the type of people where someone makes something creatively, and instead of just being like, oh, I didn't like that much, we had to start a change petition, a change.org petition to change the ending, as if everybody's going to redo their creative input on something instead of just letting it be what it was.
Because it's not it didn't end how I wanted it to end, so it has to change.
Like,
screw what you think.
What happened to the world of just being like, oh, I didn't like that, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, didn't we talk about this, Kyle, before, where we were talking about Mass Effect, how everyone hated the ending of 3, and whether or not it was 100% justified or not, simply just everyone hated it, but nobody came on and said create a whole new Mass Effect 3.
No.
They simply said, can you please like release something or do a patch that will give us more closure?
Yeah.
I'm
pretty sure it started off with people asking for like a DLC or expansion.
Yeah.
Just added a little bit more. They weren't even asking for it to be changed initially.
Nobody wanted the whole entire... Imagine that. Imagine if BioWare would have came out and been like, all right, we're changing the whole entire game now just for you guys. Because of your change.org petition.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's this mentality in the world right now where everything has to go your way when it comes to creative things, even though the whole point of something being a creative design is the fact that someone came up with it and you either like it or you don't like it. It's not, you don't change what their outlook was for it.
Not everything is meant for you, my friend.
Yes, exactly.
Amen.
On to our next topic. This one, I don't know about you guys, but I found it interesting because when I stumbled upon it, I was like, oh my God, like I thought that this wasn't going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently it's still not. But the Final Fantasy VII remake that's coming out. I remember when it was first announced, they talked about how it was only going to be when it was first announced, it was talked about how it was going to be released on PS4 first. Sony was going to release it first. And that's how it was going to come out. And so everybody was like, oh, cool, a PS4 exclusive, because this was during the time when it was first announced that everyone was like, oh, yeah, like what exclusives are these consoles going to have that are going to make me want to buy them instead of the other ones? And then I remember when it came out, I was like, haha, there you go, Xbox idiots. We got Final Fantasy VII remake coming out, and it's going to be for us. But apparently, the German Xbox site?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Xbox Germany.
Xbox Germany came out and they accidentally, an internal mistake by accidentally posting a video that claimed Final Fantasy VII Remake was coming to Xbox One on March 3rd, 2020, the same day as the PS4 version of the game.
Whoops.
And, they accidentally posted that, and then it was immediately taken down, and, Microsoft came out and said like, oh no, that was a big mistake. That wasn't supposed to happen. And everybody started speculating at this point, saying, oh shit, we're gonna get Final Fantasy VII on Xbox. It's gonna come out the same day as PS4. And what ended up happening was Squeenix came out and was like, hey, we don't actually plan on releasing it anything other than PS4. So we have no plans except for PS4 it being released on right now. So yeah, that's not going to happen.
But what makes me perk my ears is going that Xbox Germany had that made.
Yeah.
I mean, someone inside Microsoft had to go in their graphics department, put the Xbox overlay on it, type it up, put the release date, put the video on it, and send it over to their social media guys. Why were they doing that in the first place if it was never a thing?
It's all very fishy, isn't it? I mean, why would anything even be related to Final Fantasy VII on anything Xbox if it was never planned? There's nothing planned for it to be part of on a Microsoft platform. So
I think the release is at the time, like if it would have came out on schedule, it would have made a little bit more sense. But I think the release is it's going to be really weird, especially with the episodic releases that they're doing, because we're getting a new console generation soon, like within the next 2 years, end of next year. So is this going to continue to just come out on PS4? Is this going to come out on the PlayStation 5? Is it, when those next consoles come out, is it going to be open like to the Xbox side of things? I'm really interested to see, because wording is everything in the video game space.
Right.
So I'm really, really interested to see how they're going to twist this if it comes.
It's curious to me because, like with how you said, like, if it is going to end up coming out on, newer consoles, then, like, why was it announced on, like, like it was going to be posted as Xbox One thing, unless it's planned on being on both console versions and both, like, what... To me, it's exactly how Kyle put it, is who made up at Xbox, made up this graphic, made up this, like, video, showed that it was going to be released on their stuff. And there's so much still now that we don't even know about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. We don't know if it's going to be on the newer platforms. We don't know how many episodes there are going to be. We don't know, what platform. They haven't even actually officially announced if it's only going to be on PS4. Yes, they did come out and say, "Oh no, it's we have no plans to release it on Xbox." So don't worry about that. But they didn't say what they actually did for sure plan on releasing on. Is it going to be on PC? Yeah. Is it going to be only PS4? I mean, you had stuff before, but now that you have this mistake of accidentally putting it coming on Xbox, and, like, you can look at the image right here, and it legitimately is a tweet, that they posted. It was like a video, and it was showing, like, a whole tagline for it, like the little Xbox logo, and it was showing it has a post, like, where they're talking about, it's in German, obviously I can't read it, but it says, like, "Das Voil Final Fantasy Erebos auf Ihr Xbox One," and, like, a happy heart emoji. And then this guy posted right here, like, Final Fantasy VII Remake not being exclusive is nothing new, but it was announced to debut first on PS4. So the thing that's funny to me is that they came out and said, we have no plans to release it on these different platforms after that came out, because they didn't want people to speculate. But they already said that it wasn't going to be a PS4 exclusive, except for the very beginning.
Yeah.
But you have this saying now that it's like an internal team that created this whole image saying it's going to come out on the same day. It's a clusterfuck right now. It's like a big, huge thing where what is actually going to happen? Can you guys please just come out and give us the full rundown? We know the release date. We know the release date. Tell us everything it's going to be on and what we're going to expect and how many episodes. You know what I mean? I don't want to buy a game that for one episode and then find out that I need to, like, buy a whole new console, or I need to buy 6 more episodes for something that I thought was going to be just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not that even have, like, episodes transferable, since it's coming out so close.
Exactly.
To how are you going to transfer it to each new...
If I started on, say, my PlayStation 4, but I buy my PS5, will it be available on PS5 that I can transfer it on, or am I going to have to keep my PS4 in order to play it? That seems like a weird thing to do so close to a next generation's release for such a big game as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting too. I would contend that PlayStation as a brand is in such a different spot than when this game was shown off originally. I feel like PlayStation has such a good wealth of first party titles now that they're not in this place where they're like, oh, well, we need something to be exclusive to matter. When that was shown off at E3, it was like, oh, cool, we're getting this. But now it's like, man, we got Spider-Man, there's Horizon, there's God of War, like all these big titles that are going to come to the PS5. I don't know that PlayStation, the executives, whoever's making those deals, are in the same spot that they were of like, we need this to come out. I don't know that, maybe somebody behind closed doors was like, hey, this delay is taking longer than we thought it was. We're going to pull a little bit of funding. I don't know. It's not even, I would go a step further and say the whole industry is in a different place where people don't even want exclusive games really anymore, because all it's doing is putting a vice grip on their wallet and making it so they're paying more money. And, like, I think finally consumers are realizing, exclusivity was cool for a while because it kind of gave me that sort of notion of, like, I'm better than this person because I'm this type of fan. But
But nowadays, like, I can't even, like, you don't even see people really arguing about, oh, Microsoft's better, Sony's better, Nintendo's better. You don't have it anymore. People are just like, can you please stop making things exclusive so that way I can play with my friends, so that way I can get this and not have to worry about getting a whole new system. Can you please start doing that?
Yeah.
Like, the whole system is different than what it was. You're completely right. It's completely changed in more ways than one, with how exclusivity even is handled, wanted, or anything. So I don't know. I think it's a weird mistake that happened, but also I think that they're not telling the truth and that it is planned on being out for, like, it's gonna be released on Xbox at least, maybe PC, but they don't want to come right out and say it now because they know that people remember it was supposed to come out on PlayStation first.
Yeah,
and there's going to be a group of people that are going to be like, well, you told me back when it was announced that it was going to be on PlayStation first. If they get released on the same day, then you're a liar. I think it's another unhappy gamer moment there.
And just the last thing, like, it's not a case that, like, Microsoft and Xbox have a bad relationship with Square Enix. Like, all the new Final Fantasy games are on Xbox. I can buy Final Fantasy VII, like the original, on Xbox, on my Xbox One. So for them to come out and have it be exclusive just seems like a really odd move on their behalf when they haven't done it in a good while. It just doesn't seem something that they do, and it seems logical.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're all in agreement on that. That it's really weird how that happened, and also why did it happen, and like what does it actually mean? We don't even know what it means because there's not enough information still.
Yeah.
Even though the game is out in a year, less than a year, we still don't have enough information about it, which is
it's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah. But going from one company that seems to tell us nothing to a company that needs to just stop talking. A good old G2A continuing into this week again.
What is this, the third week in a row now?
Third week in a row. They've vowed to pay back developers 10 times the amount of money if they can prove that they lost it on chargeback. But only if they can prove it.
So Rich, do you know much about G2A or like the whole controversy that was going on with it?
Yeah, I followed it a little bit. Just parsing articles together, watching a few videos on it,
listening to
and
the
it's
podcast.
yeah. And I think whoever's running this company is in water that's up to their necks, and they might not know how to swim. So I think that some sort of radio silence might be the key for them instead of the bravado that they have.
It's funny that you say that because G2A's policy for the longest time was kind of silence, and then I think it started about 2 years ago where they started like, we need to make our image seem better, so they started doing like Reddit AMAs and stuff like that, and just making themselves look more and more like assholes. I remember I was reading through a Reddit AMA that they did, and they literally were like going through answering these questions, and people were just kept asking like, do you realize that what you're doing is wrong? Do you realize that what you're doing is like illegal in most cases? Do you realize what you're doing is? And then their responses were always, it's not illegal because we don't condone it.
Yeah.
And it was just like, they kept going further and further with it, and it was just hilarious reading through it and seeing how much that all that they did trying to answer questions hindered them. But
saying it's not illegal because you don't condone it is like murdering someone, but that's not illegal because murdering is bad.
I don't condone it, and I don't necessarily put up ways to allow it to happen, but I don't put up ways to stop it. And you know, it's you know, I don't know.
I don't know about that loophole now. I can do illegal things, and as long as I know it's bad, it's not illegal.
There's a reason why it's called a gray market, like they admitted to it being called that, is because it's not necessarily white, but it's going into like the black market territory. Basically, what's happened with G2A is they've been putting up a lot of ads and stuff for indie games. I mean, they put up for all games of all types, but they put up a lot of ads for indie games and indie developers, that the games that are already cheap or the people don't see a lot back in terms of money that they get, and they've been selling it for cheap, which is usually ends up being keys for these games that are either given away for free or you know, generated in some way and there end up being false and people are just like, trying to sell generated keys that aren't real.
Yeah.
Or keys that were bought in en masse on sale days for really, really cheap and then selling them for a higher profit than they spent on it, but still cheaper than what the average or the normal price is for the game.
Yeah.
And so what it does is it allows these indie developers to not get paid for their work. And so like how we talked about in the first time we mentioned them is indie developers came out and said, we're not getting paid for you buying things on G2A, so you might as well pirate the games. Last week on the podcast, we kind of delved into it a little bit more, and we saw that G2A kind of was like, oh no, like we're completely fine. Like we don't condone this stuff. Like show us where this is happening. And there's actually a Twitter, like they're like we don't actually condone this at all. And then there's a Twitter post where they actually went out and they were like, please, news reporter. We wrote up an article for you saying that we're not bad and what we do isn't bad. And please post it.
Completely unbiased as well.
Completely unbiased thing saying how we're not bad.
We wrote it, but
can you please post this and then also say that you're not posting it for us or has anything affiliated with us and it's unbiased and we're great, and please, like, people should be happy that we're not like, and what was the article like name too? Wasn't it something like there's no technical way to fake Steam keys or something like
because
that,
you can't buy keys off Steam. That was their argument.
But like the title was literally like, technically you can't steal keys or something like really, really stupid. And I was like, your name of the article that we want to post even makes you sound stupid. Like, technically what I'm doing isn't wrong. That's literally what the name of your article was. And they got caught out for that because obviously the person was like, I'm not doing this and I'm posting all your business for everyone to see. So G2A responded on Twitter saying like, oh, this was an internal mistake. We weren't actually trying to send that. That person's going to be dealt with that put this out. We all know that's BS.
It's actually the person in charge of the Twitter account.
we all know it's BS. Don't lie. Whatever. Then you had a developer saying like, I don't believe you because here's a case, and they schooled them by posting something from several months ago saying, here's this proving that you won't actually do anything about taking my key off your site.
It was October of last year that it happened.
And they ended up like getting into a little argument, wanting to hide it in their DMs, but then the other guy wouldn't hide it, and they finally like took it off of their website, whatever. Well, now we found out that G2A is saying, like Kyle said, they're vowing to pay devs 10 times the money if they prove that it was lost on a chargeback because the card was fraudulent or whatever. That's usually how most of these keys get happened. Is it's a fraudulent card that it's bought on, and so these people get these keys and then they give them out, but then the keys get they're either not working or they like get revoked, and then also the devs get chargeback fees for that because they just lose. It's like pulled off their system, and people are like, well, I want my money back or whatever. So it's, to me, this whole, like, long story short with all this, I don't know what are they going to define as proof that their money was lost due to chargebacks based on G2A. Are they going to follow through with it? What's beholding them to actually follow through with it? How long is it going to take for them to do it? If it takes 2 years, then no one cares. At that point, the damage is done. Nothing happens from it, and the damage is done. So I'm kind of, I don't know, like, what's your take on it, Kyle? What do you think with all this?
I think it's very sneaky what they're doing. They're kind of making out like, look, if you can prove it, we'll pay you back 10 times the amount. But they said it'll only count for if it's like a fraudulent card. So if it's only used with a bad credit card, pretty much, then they'll pay them back. But they don't take in the fact, well, what if the key is, not purchased? What if it's a stolen key? What if it's, a hacked key? Like, recently a hacker came out and said that he sold keys to G2A. That he'd, like, hack sites and stuff like that to loophole it to get keys for free.
Of course he did.
And he'd sell them to G2A, and they took it willingly. So saying that you'd pay them back 10 times if they can prove it is probably covering about, I don't know, 10% of the keys that you get. I doubt, like, a large majority of them are done off bogus cards. I'd say a lot of them are stolen or hacked. So it's not going to be a large amount anyways.
Well, I do know, I'll give them this sort of credit, is apparently, according to the statistics, a big issue to the indie developers is when these credit cards are stolen. So I don't know if it's the biggest majority of the credit cards, but I do know that's the biggest hurt to them, is because they're getting money taken away from them rather than it just not having the money given to them in the first place. I'll give them credit for that. But like you said, they have to prove it, and it has to be specifically for that reason and proof for that reason.
Like, and what will they take as proof?
Yeah.
Like, will just a transaction going, well, look, we lost money here. Will that be the proof? Or will they be looking for, like, well, we need to specify what it was exactly. We need every fine detail of it, and then that's proof. I feel like that's the kind of
definitely seems
way
like
they're going to swindle
a goalpost moving type of thing.
Yeah.
Like how can we make it so they have to work extra hard for it? Especially because even if they were to pay 10 times what they've lost, first of all, we all know that you'd have to prove it, you have to go through the channels, it'd take time to happen. So let's say that people actually do, there are some people that actually go through, like developers that go through do this. Of those people, these game developers sometimes are only spending or charging $5 to $10 for their product.
Yeah.
10 times $10 is $100. They're getting back $100 from one sale when there's still tons of other sales that have gone wrong for other reasons due to GTA, G2A that they've lost. So I mean, and $100 to G2A, like you can sound like you're a big man on campus if you're paying 10 times the amount, but 10 times the amount is a drop in the water for them, for all the amount of money that they have from all the shady stuff that they do and allow happen that they make. They make millions and millions of dollars. Like G2A is making tons of money. And it's funny too, because one of the articles that this is posted on is a G2A site.
Yeah.
That like one of the articles talking about it is they actually posted this to their site saying, "Look, here's one of our latest things. We're going to pay back we're going to pay back this 10 times." So of course they're going to make it sound good in theory. Of course they're going to make it sound like it's going to be something great.
In the TLDR version that they kindly put at the end, they leave out quite a bit of details when it comes to like numbers. So if you want to prove that you've lost money on chargebacks, they're going to do it through an independent and quote reliable auditor.
It's like, oh, great. So you're telling me every time it happens after it, I'm getting screwed over.
So pretty much what they've done is like, we'll pay 50-50 for this auditor. You go pay 50-50. They prove that it's charged back. Right, here's your money. And they're literally just handing them the money that they paid for the auditor back to them.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. In like the TLDR version that G2A is kind of kindly posted for us, let me just give you like a couple of snippets of what they say about themselves. G2A's business model is the same as any other big global marketplaces like Amazon or eBay, with all of its ups and downs. Just like them, we always try to maximize the ups and minimize the downs. Out of all marketplaces, G2A offers the best benefits for copyright owners. Like, come on. You're literally, now you're shelling out, like, what's so great about you. It's just so dumb. Look, we are and always were open for discussion, but a real one, not empty accusations and catchy slogans.
Oh, God.
Who are you to determine whether something is an empty accusation or a catchy slogan? Like, I don't know. It's Rich. Tell G2A what you think of them for this bullshit that they're kind of trying to spill on everybody.
Yeah, I honestly, I would not hate for like a mid-tier developer to sort of figure out a formula to best find, what percentage and how to find this money lost by the chargebacks, and just share it with the smaller developers, or even just form not a coalition, but some sort of a partnership group, and just take a chunk out of them. And like you said, at the end of the day, is it really going to make a dent in G2A's armor? Probably not. But just do something, because at this point they're just gloating. And like I said, it's going to be goalpost moving, and I don't think that anything's going to come of this until there's some sort of like bonding together from these developers to either, spread out costs or spread out manpower. Because, I mean, some of these studios, I'm sure, aren't, they're not in the hundreds. They're lucky to be in the tens or 20s, I'm sure. So devoting someone's job just to finding, from this date to this date, here are all the chargebacks. Yeah, that's not even, that in itself isn't plausible. That person has another job to do.
Well,
so
it's funny how you mentioned someone should come out with and I remember I had remembered that I saw this, so I brought it up here. I don't know if you've heard of Factorio, but it's a game that's on Steam. I think it's still in like some sort of I don't know if it's alpha or if it's just like some sort of like pre-game phase. I'm pretty sure it's released, but it's like I think it's like a $20 game, and it ended up getting like really, really popular, and it had a lot of good information on a lot of good information. It had a lot of good reviews and stuff on it, and they actually opened up and talked about the whole G2A thing, and they were like, we're going to take them up on that offer because here's all of our issues that we had in 2016. And they went on and said that we had a ton of chargebacks and fraud issues in 2016 just after our Steam launch, with over 300 Steam keys of the game being purchased with stolen credit cards.
Jeez.
With an average chargeback fee of $20, we estimate the total amount of fees we paid because of chargebacks is about $6,600. So that's just base level of how they're looking at it, is that they lost $6,600 from chargeback fee. And that's just the keys that were stolen. 300 Steam keys, right? Now you have to take in the fact of any that they had that are giveaways that ended up getting sold right away. So they just didn't get money from that. They just didn't get money. And you can say, they were going to give it away for free anyways. But I mean, me and Kyle have talked about this before. That's promotional stuff. And they hope that people will use those to entice other people to buy it. But if someone just goes on and sells it, people aren't going to be like, I had to buy this game and I'll talk really good about it. I bought it from G2A, and so now I'm going to feel like I should give my honest opinion on it. They're going to be like, I just bought off of G2A and then whatever. Yeah. So and you look at it and you're just like, it's nuts, because just on that alone, you're losing the first 2016, and when the game wasn't even that popular, 300 Steam keys being purchased with stolen credit cards that now the company has to pay back. It's just, you look at those sort of statistics, and like you said, Rich, that kind of shows everyone else, look at this. This is definitely something that we have to deal with. If it was 5 or 10 different ones, you could be like, G2A is not really, come on, that happens with anybody. Any place can get away with a couple stolen credit cards, right? Well, over 300 credit cards being stolen or purchasing those amount of keys, it's I don't know. It adds up, and it really shows you the whole I'm trying real hard. The gravity of the situation. I can't think of a better word for that.
The severity of
it. Severity. Jeez, why was that so hard to come up with? The severity of the situation.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see if G2A will pay back the 6,600 multiplied by 10.
Multiplied by 10? Yeah.
I look forward to that.
Good luck, Factorio. They said that they put stuff in and that it's already been a couple weeks and they haven't heard anything back yet. So
Shocker.
So super cool.
The auditor is probably their intern.
that posted that Twitter. That posted or message DM'd.
Just with a fake mustache on.
Slid into the DMs. Rich, Google Stadia. Give me your thoughts and feelings on it. We've kind of already talked about ours, but let's hear your thoughts and feelings on Google.
It's not for me. Again, it's not something that I'm gung ho about. I think that if we were in an age of unlimited data caps, at least here in the US, I know that that's a problem for a lot of people, along with speeds that I didn't even know were available this slow for some people that I've talked to. And it's to the point where, where I am, which is not a big city, it's a city, but it's not like a massive place. It's not a sprawling urban metropolis. I get a pretty good download speed and upload speed, but you go literally 5-minute drive.
Oh yeah, 5 minutes. Yeah.
And into the more rural places, and they're like, "Hey man, I'm glad if I can get 4 channels on my TV, and if I can watch one porn video in 3 minutes, and it's like, I mean,
isn't that the average amount of time you watch a porn video, anyways?
I mean, if I'm feeling good about myself.
I'm pretty sure Pornhub like released a stat saying that. That like their average viewing time is like 5 to 6 minutes.
Oh, so accurate.
Yeah, I think that this is I think it's a really ambitious project, and I think that if any of the corporate overlords could do it, it's probably Google. But personally, it's not for me right now.
What do you think about the pitfalls of it when it comes to like I know how you mentioned like the data caps and the speeds, but like when it comes to that, do you think that it's even possible to get any sort of good use out of something where you pay full price for the games and you pay for the Google Stadia itself, and you have to have the internet that can run it, and if your internet goes out, you don't get to play the games that you paid full price for? And even if you have great internet, there's still a chance that you can get a little bit of latency depending on where the server is that you're playing from?
Yeah. I think all those are really, really good points. Just like I said, my internet is great at my house, but just for instance, I recently had got a new modem, and without me knowing, one of the problems with this modem that they were just figuring out was that throughout the day it just randomly reset, just for no reason, no problems, no nothing. It would just randomly reset, and this was a problem that they were just finding out. And I mean, if I'm playing online, I had it happen multiple times, just playing like Borderlands. I'll all of a sudden be playing, and oh hey, no more internet. Sorry about your game right now. I'm like, oh okay, well, that's a frustrating, and I think that
is that how you said it too? Oh well, that's frustrating.
Yeah. I'm sure he was like calm and collected.
I can see Rich now just
just gently putting his controller down.
Big mad.
I think that the price, like you said, the price to pay for this service and also pay for the games, I think it's not a huge deal, because I think there are a lot of people that play like myself on the PlayStation side where I'm paying for access to my own internet, but you know, hey, whatever, with the PlayStation Network, and also paying for the games. But like you said, if my internet goes down, I can still play Judgment. I can still play all these games that I have just offline. And I think that we're moving really close to a future of where it's like, hey, you know, you don't own this. And I don't know that I'm really ready to jump like both feet into the water, into the, hey, if you're not connected to us, you don't get to play games.
Yeah. So, and I think like me and Kyle kind of touched about this, and we were saying like, you know, I think that these developers and these companies think that we want to go to this digital age, and there are actually, you know what, like I'm fine with going to a digital age. I don't know though if the whole world is ready or ever will be ready though to go to a strictly cloud age, because of reasons of such as, I mean, we had a good point, Kyle, and wasn't it? What if Google Stadia server shut down because it doesn't do well?
Yeah, what if it goes bust and it
after you spent $60
a lot of their new projects? Google is notorious for shuttering things that just didn't pan out.
Yeah,
look at Google Glasses that I was super excited for.
Me too.
Like, am I just gonna lose all my games if that happens?
Yeah.
Whereas when it comes to like digital downloads, you can talk about all day how it's not a physical copy and like that's upsetting. But if you download something and you put it on a hard drive, you have that forever, as long as that hard drive is there, or whatever medium that you put it on.
If I take that hard drive out of my PC and put it into someone else's PC,
like it's still
there.
You have a hard drive with it on there.
Yeah.
So like digital to me is fine when it's something that I can keep on a format for forever, the same as a physical disc. The thing that I'm not fine with is if I spend over the course of Google Stadia's lifespan $1,000 on all the games I'm doing and all the money that I spent to actually like be able to use it, and then Google Stadia decides to shut down. Now I can't play those games, because it's not like they'll be like, oh well, we'll keep the servers up for you to play games, but we're not releasing any more stuff. They can't do that because it's running off of servers that have to be maintained and ran.
Yeah.
So if it's not making money, they won't run those servers. If it's gone, it's gone, and you don't have that. So now I'm $1,000 in the hole with games that I don't own anymore.
And we know for a fact that Google doesn't kind of care about that impact. Like, remember they integrated Google Plus into YouTube very forcefully, and then they're just like, okay, we're shutting down Google Plus.
Yeah,
and like that messed up YouTube for months nearly.
Yeah, it was a long time that Google just or that YouTube just kind of just shit the bed.
Yeah, like comments weren't working, like a bunch of stuff just ceased to work, and Google didn't give a crap. They just pulled the plug on it. So they could very well just be like, oh, you have like a couple like, $100 invested on this? Too bad. And they pulled the plug out of the wall.
There you go. The reason why I asked you this, Rich, is because there's recently a couple articles talking about how apparently over 4,000 developers have applied to be part of the Google Stadia's Partners Program, which is just like a program where they can be part of it to join up on the platform and actually like have their game on there or deal with something with it and kind of have like a little portfolio on their platform. And it's weird because it kind of contradicts what me and Kyle had mentioned last time when we talked about this. What was it in the European...
Oh, the statistics where it was like, it was like over 75% of people weren't interested. Yeah, it wasn't even that they weren't ready. They weren't interested in a streaming service for games. And
yet you have 4,000 companies. We've had... this is exactly what they said, quote from Sam Corkin, who is a technical account manager over at Google. We've had more than 4,000 companies apply for access to Stadia, and every single one of them is reviewed by a human. I mean, can we get a list?
That's what I was going to say. It's 4,000 companies, but it's 4,000 indie developers that have 3 games.
Yeah.
Like, who are these people? I mean, like, yes, it does sound good on paper, like the amount of people that you have that are interested in it, and it makes it sound like you could have, like, a decent amount of, games and stuff
quality
available.
Over quantity kind of thing.
Like, who is actually interested in this?
Like, the only one we really know so far is, like, big company would be Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Because all their demos is of Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah. But even still, how interested is Ubisoft? How much have they came out and said that they're
Watch Dogs
interested?
Legion going to be on there?
And if it is it going to be... If a company is really tight with Google and it's on there, is it going to be free to play for certain people? Or is it going to cost the full amount? Also, are you going to have that? Are you going to have where certain games get... Like, if you're part of the program, you get preferential treatment? And you get like put first, or you get to have like a certain like it's like people can play the games for free, or are you gonna have it where if you don't sign up for the program, that game just won't be on there? So if they don't want to be a part of Google Stadia, then
too bad
you just can't get that game. Yeah. So someone that wants to get Google Stadia to be an all-in-one stop shop, that they're talking about how you can play any game you want, and that's all the only console that you'll need because you can stream it. Well, is that going to be the case? Because what if I can't play a game that I really want to play on there?
Yeah.
Like, maybe I really want to play Binding of Isaac. Okay? And it's a game that maybe, like, that they decide they're not going to go with Google Stadia because they don't see, like, that big of a push of a reason to do it. It doesn't make much sense. Well, I sold all my consoles and my PC so I could have a Google Stadia because they told me that I could stream any game I wanted, and that's the only thing I needed. Obviously, that's a huge case, like a big case scenario, but why would anybody need a Google Stadia then if they already have a console that they can pay to get physical copies of this for, when you're saying, okay, well, I'll buy a Google Stadia too so that way I can stream some games? Why?
Yeah.
What is necessary that I need to do that? What can I not play on consoles?
Especially with...
Or a PC that is okay enough to run things.
Especially with the rumor of Xbox's second Scarlet being a streaming console. Being incredibly cheap and been built for just streaming games.
So it really makes you wonder.
And xCloud is very much just coming across as it's Game Pass, but you stream the games instead of download it. So it's kind of like it would have a wider range of games just at the moment, just from the sound of it.
Plus, you wouldn't have to buy the games, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Is that what it is? XPass doesn't require you to pay for the games full price.
So, like with Game Pass, you pay €10 a month, and you just have access to all of these games, and that's it. You just download them and play them. You don't have to pay for them. And I'm guessing that's how xCloud's going to work. You're just going to pay for a subscription, and you're just going to have a catalogue. So I'm kind of interested to see how, just the range of games and who these developers really are.
Yeah, it to me right now. All that is trying to talk themselves up and saying, "Oh, look it, no, people do want us. They do want this to happen. I swear, I swears it.
You
I
want me, right?
swearsies."
You do. See, these people want me, so you want me.
But then, like, you had the same thing with Google Glasses. How there was a ton of people that wanted that or whatever. Like how we were talking about, Rich, a ton of people that wanted Google like glasses, but it wasn't enough people that actually made it sound like they wanted to put the money and time and effort in to do it. We're like, you know what? No.
Yeah, just no. But, speaking of people who really want things, we've got some movie news to tie it up, as our theme seems to be going with these podcasts. Have you noticed that? Actually?
Yeah, actually, I just now realized that. It seems like we always end these some sort of movie,
media news. Yeah. So we got some reports for the new Bond movie, currently just called Bond 25. That Lashana Lynch, who is probably most known for being in Captain Marvel, she was Carl Danvers' friend.
I think that's one of the only roles that I can even think of.
I know her name, but I don't really know
no
her
offense to her,
else.
but I can't think of anything else that I've seen her in.
Yeah. But reportedly, how the movie is going to go is that Daniel Craig's James Bond is retired in Jamaica, and that Lashana Lynch is currently the agent with the title of 007. So she's pretty much the new James Bond at the start of the movie.
Without being called James Bond.
That we know of yet.
She won't be called James Bond.
You never know.
They're not going to call this female actor James Bond when James Bond is the name of the guy that's retiring. That doesn't make sense.
It's like, we don't know how it could go, though. You have to remember, we have to have an open mind with these things. They tend to go off the rails.
I mean, I get it, but I think the whole reason that this is like this is still Can we have to preface this? This is speculation still.
Yeah,
There's
this is
technically
not
no
confirmation
on any of this.
It's just insider reports at the moment.
But I think the reason why they are not going to be like, oh, it's a female James Bond is because they know that everybody will lose their shit because it's a big deal. They don't want James Bond to be a female. I'm not saying I do or don't. I mean, I don't care. To me, that doesn't have any feelings for me. And the way that they're getting around the people that it does have feelings for is by saying, we'll just call her 007. So we'll probably call this, I guarantee you, this is probably going to be called like 007 double trouble. I don't know. It's gonna be called it's gonna be called something to do with 007, and she's just gonna be like, your name is Jessica Brand 007. We're giving you the and she's gonna be like, I don't want to be 007. That's so much of a thing for me to try, like so much weight to put on. I'm giving you the whole plot of the movie, guys, even though nobody has said anything about it.
Cody has the insider
It's
scoop
going
here.
to be, oh no, I can't handle that moniker. It's reserved for the greatness. And then they're gonna and then she's gonna go through and like everyone's gonna be like, you don't deserve that moniker. You don't deserve that moniker. And then all of a sudden Daniel Craig's gonna come up and he's gonna be like, it's gonna be James Bond, and then he's gonna be like, no, you do deserve it because look at all this shit that you're doing and that you've done throughout this whole movie. You're awesome. You're 007. And then it's gonna be boom, 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 and it's gonna be the end of the movie, and the credits are gonna roll, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, okay."
At the start, I was kind of like, "Where is he going with this?" But when you think of the whole thing as a whole, yeah, that's probably what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Where she's gonna feel like overburdened by the weight of being 007, of being the best agent in MI6, and Daniel Craig, when forced back into the story, he's going to be like, you know what? No, you've earned this. By the end.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's going to be like, oh, I'm 007. Like you said, it's going to have that moment where you'll go,
yeah,
this is for you, 007. And he's going to walk away and it's going to be like, oh, he did it. He said it.
And the whole reason, like I said, that they're doing this is because they don't want people to cry about how it's a female James Bond or it's a Black Ariel or it's a whatever. They're going to have people that, like, there's going to always be those people that are going to complain about these things because they're saying that it's not 100% correct to like certain character attributes that they know the character as.
Yeah.
So you're going to have these people. So instead of basically the way that they're going to get around that is, instead of having people cry about it for the next like 7 months that we're in production with it, we're just going to say it's a 007 because technically an agent number can be transferred. It's not, I mean, like the agent numbers wouldn't be stuck for one thing forever.
Like, wasn't Sean Bean 006?
Yeah, like so it makes sense. What about you, Rich? Do you have any sort of feeling towards this?
I've always been in the mindset of I don't think that we should push creative people, whether it be writers, directors, to force people of certain skin color, gender into roles like that. But if they want to do it, like if the writer's like, hey, I have this story of like this badass black chick that I want to be 007, then hell yeah. Because I mean, I'll take, I don't care if it's, like Spider-Man with Miles Morales. If someone has a good story for him, then yeah, I want that black Spider-Man because that creative wants that black Spider-Man and he's excited to create for that person. And I don't know. I don't know that the James Bond franchise is as like close to me as it is for a lot of people. So I'm even more up in the air of like, whatever, I don't care.
Right.
But yeah,
I agree with what you're saying though.
If the person who's writing this and directing this, if they feel that, hey, this is more creatively satisfying to me, then yeah, whatever. Make 007 whoever you want it to be. Because, I mean, Daniel Craig has come up multiple times, like, shitting on the role of James Bond.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey, if this chick is, like, really behind the role, and if it comes out and she totally kills it, and she embraces it and opens it up to a whole new audience, then yeah, I mean, as a fan of the franchise, you should be excited that new people are coming into your fandom and new money is coming into your fandom. I've always thought that this should be how this is argument is really, it's a little flimsy in my opinion at times.
Right. In most cases. I mean, Kyle, you were talking to me about this the other day when it came to roles, because we actually got into the discussion of like Black Ariel and stuff like that.
Yeah. I pretty much agree, like how you started off. I couldn't agree more that if you're a creator, you create something, you write a movie or you want to direct a movie and you have a vision for how these are supposed to be, I feel like that's what it should be. And that shouldn't be questioned. There shouldn't be someone else kind of going, well, no, you should have this in here because we need to involve these people. I don't think characters should be changed for the sake of inclusivity. If you want to have, someone of a different gender, of a different ethnicity put into this movie that isn't already there, make a new character. Write something for them. Have it be creatively driven rather than, let's just change this because then it'll be good. Like with the new Ariel, if she does a good job, like she can sing, she can do all these things, she does a good job, well done. But if the only thing they've changed is, her race, it's going to come off a bit, like, blurry with me if there's no other implementation in there. Like, I see people doing fan art of her and having, like, her red hair, but it'd been, like, dreadlocks. And her outfit kind of changed to something, a bit more ethnic. If they did, like, a complete overhaul, that'd be awesome. That'd be so cool. But if they've just changed her race and they're going to slap a red wig on her and keep everything else the exact same, it's going to come across as you kind of just changed it for the sake of changing it. Because you did nothing creatively with it. All you did was change her piece. There's no real creativity behind that. So it has to be more than just
I agree.
smacking, someone else in there for the sake of doing it.
I think that's something that I had talked to a lot of people when it came to, I want to say when the big like blow up when Thor became a woman. In the comics, I went on a big thing and I'm like, I talked to a lot of people, got a lot of perspectives, and I just feel that creatively, I feel like it's almost lazy to just plug in like, oh, hey, it's Thor, but it's a woman now. I feel like whether it be a different race or a different gender or whatever, I think that an audience can really tell if you're just phoning something in. And I truly believe that if you want like a badass woman or like a badass black dude or, like a badass Japanese hero, if you really want that, then put the time, the effort, the creative processes, like all of that into creating a new one that people can really latch onto and doesn't need like oh, well, it's Iron Man or it's Thor. And I understand that like sometimes you need that to get it to the masses. But I also believe that if you take the time to create something that people can tell that you took the time to create, especially whether it be a movie, a TV show, comic book, something in pop culture that someone can watch and identify with, that's going to resonate with that audience a lot more than just, yeah, hey, it's this character but gender swapped.
I think I agree with most of what you guys are saying, and I understand 1,000,000% the sort of thought process, because that's like I think what the masses have when it comes to it. Like, I know there's always going to be the people that are like, oh, I just hate this because it is a girl. Not because they changed this, but because it is. Or I hate this because it is a different race. Right? There's always going to be those people. I don't think that those are necessarily as widespread as people believe it to be. Yeah. I think it's more of the case of how you guys feel of, oh, we want it to, make sense or whatever like that. I'm in this weird place where, to me, and I think when I talked to Kyle about this, like, off podcast, I kind of like I elaborated on it better. I'm hoping I can get it across the same way as I did now. But if that character that is being portrayed by a different sort of character, if that character was never their race or their gender was never to be intended to be a main part of whatever that movie or comic or game or whatever was about, it was never meant to be an integral part, and it's changed, then it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, you used the example of Luke in Star Wars, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, and that's about as good as I can get. Is if you took Luke Skywalker and you just changed like his race or his gender or sexuality, if you change any of that, right? That would have no bearing on the story whatsoever. It wouldn't change a single thing about this, like the original Star Wars trilogy. Nothing about it would change. There would still be a Jedi that does things. He would still do the same exact things. There'd be nothing that would need to be functionally different about it. And in that case, if you can change the race or the gender and it doesn't have any sort of bearing on the story as a whole, then why does it matter? Because that means that the gender or the race was never a part of the storyline anyways, so it shouldn't affect you if that changes. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, yeah. Like if it wasn't, it'd be different if, you took Black Panther and you were like, well, now he's white now. Because, like, I know that Black Panther, the whole, like, story, like, even if you took away the whole story of it behind and you just said, like, oh no, like you took all that story away and you said, like, here's a different story, and then you go, okay, well, he's white because of this reason, blah, 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 blah. At the end of it all, the character himself was written for the purpose of being an African sort of superhero that has origins in these African lore. His whole character is based on African legend of a panther god. Yeah. Like, you can't switch that character because that character is inherently what it is. Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, that's why they had like the White Wolf in the comic, which is pretty much Black Panther, but a white dude.
Yes.
But he had a whole big, deep, long backstory about why he's there and why he's like this and why he's the White Wolf and all these different things. They're like, right, we're going to add a white character to this predominantly black world, but here's a really strong creative.
Yes, and to me, when it comes to these things, is like, I understand not wanting to toss a race in somewhere and then just like have nothing be different, because then it seems like you're just shoveling an agenda, right? And people always hate when it seems like someone's shoving an agenda that maybe either they don't agree with, or even if they do agree with it, they just don't want to see it. But also, is it really an agenda if the person just goes, I think this person would be a really good character to have to play this person. You know what I mean? Like, when it comes to comic books, that's different, because that's still coming. That's coming from a perspective of, you don't have a character that character has to be written for that to be in the mindset, right? Yeah. Because it's being written by somebody and it's not being acted. But when it comes to something where someone is acting and portraying, if I wanted to have Superman and I got an actor that really nails down the part of understanding what Superman's core values are, how he would act, how he would talk, how he would do everything, and then the guy just happens to be Asian, does that mean that I can't have an Asian guy play Superman strictly because you only ever see him as a white guy, even though he's an alien from another world, and and it would make nothing functionally different because his race isn't part of, like, is it an agenda pushing, or is it maybe the fact that more minorities happen to be like are going into the acting scene, and they're becoming more of a majority in the acting scene, and so maybe people are just casting these people because they think they're really good. Like you can say that Black Ariel came on the scene because of people trying to push an agenda of allowing that to happen, and like maybe they were a tiny bit, and at the end of the day, is that big of an issue if maybe a small part of it is kind of giving a little bit more?
Disney is really guilty for kind of trying to shoehorn those kind of things in because of things they've done in the past and where they kind of came from.
And if you think about it, Disney has whitewashed so many things. So is it that big of a deal if they kind of maybe, I don't know, throw in a little bit of, like, shoehorn a little bit of something in? Like, how many things can you think of like, the whitewashing of...
Yeah, but then I see people making the argument that, oh, you're gonna change a white character to black. How is that different from changing a black character to white?
I mean... That goes all into like the social political stuff. It's kind of a
double-edged sword to do that. Instead of kind of going against the whole point.
But if you, the only reason I don't agree with that, and this is pushing into a political debate I don't really want to go into, but the only reason I'm not going to go into that is because 80% of major popular movies are casted with major roles of white people because white people are the majority. So switching a character that's like that, like it was originally made black to white, that's fine if that character like fits like a purpose. But also, like, I get the part of what I said of like, oh, you just find a really good actor, but then you're also disenfranchising a sort of people that kind of already get disenfranchised generally, because you're stereotyping certain roles. How many roles in movies that are like wannabe thugs, how many times are they either a very stereotypical like ghetto talking Mexican or black person? How many really smart people or doctors in movies are Asians? How many Indian people run supermarkets? You're feeling
like stereotype territory though, which can apply to anyone. Like, how many times have you watched a movie and an Irish person is the stereotypical drunk?
Exactly, and you're going
to everyone.
You're going into a stereotype story where it doesn't quite make sense. Like, if you had an Irish movie about Irish like stuff going on in Ireland, right? And you had, and it had nothing to do with race or anything like that, but you had predominantly black people in there. There's only like 1% of the population in Ireland is black. Yeah. That makes no sense.
Yeah,
having that would make no sense. That would make no sense to me, and I would understand if people being like, why are you having like history, or like if it's stuff that's like historic too, like why are you having this war that happened in Ireland being portrayed by people that weren't there?
Yeah, it'd be like making a history movie and making Michael Collins a black guy.
Yeah, that to me is completely different, like when it comes to like especially like historical stuff or like real life stuff compared to James Bond, an agent that doesn't exist and has never existed and is something that's based off of like a guy that just likes fucking women and killing people and doing stuff for the government. That's completely that's fake. Ariel, a mermaid inside of ocean waters. That's fake. Like
I would have liked to see like a Little Mermaid horror movie where she looks like how mermaids looked in like actual mythology. Where like they have like that pale blue skin and have like barnacles like growing out of them.
That would be awesome.
That would be dope.
Yeah. But so when it comes to like you know the territory of it for me is, if you don't like the artistic choice and you just say, I don't really like it, like the artistic choice when it comes to these things, like this Bond movie, fine, I get it. You don't like her as a character that plays Bond because you don't like how she portrays the character.
Yeah.
Like what it means to you, fine. But if your only excuse to why that you don't want to watch it is because, 007 has always been white man that has sex with beautiful girls.
Yeah.
Then to me, it's like, you're pushing it because like, maybe she's a black woman that really likes being a man magnet. You know what I mean? Like, what if she still fills exactly the roles that you would expect 007 to be?
Yeah.
It's just different how it's portrayed in
Or you could hit like an even bigger whammy and you could just make her bi or a lesbian and just not change that dynamic whatsoever.
Yeah, there you go. And then you still get a womanizer that does
it's the exact same
whatever
thing.
Like the same type of thing. Like I do understand where you guys are coming from. To me, unless a character was designed with that specific trait in mind, relating to the plot of the story or how it functions, then I don't like. It's weird because you all hear about how that, like, I remember back a few years ago that whole thing about how Hermione was going to be black, right?
Oh yeah, and the stage play wasn't it?
And everybody was like throwing a hissy fit, but then there was also people that were like super. And to me, my biggest takeaway for that was the thing that I didn't care that Hermione was going to be black. The thing that I didn't like was how all of a sudden, like, J.K. Rowling was like, "Oh yeah, I definitely totally intended that," or I definitely, or like when the characters were like came out, certain characters came out, like Dumbledore was gay, and like like everyone just speculated it, and then J.K. Rowling came out and was like, "Oh yeah, totally, it's totally what it's about." Like, it's good for inclusivity, but to just like, if that wasn't how it was intended, don't make it that way because you want those groups of marginalized people to give you a high five, because that's just as disingenuous. Now, if you were just like, I feel like this girl, like, if you were like, let's do something different with Bond because it's stale, let's make it a woman, and then it just happened to be this girl, this black woman, Lashana Lynch, and you were just like, let's have it be her because she plays this part really well when it comes to this. If that was all your point was, like, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, but I agree with you 100% with that.
Right, but imagine, like, the time that I would get mad is they're like, we're coming out with this new Bond movie. Here is Daniel Craig. He's coming out. He's doing this part. He's doing all this stuff. And then if they were just like, actually, we intended this whole time for him to be a black female. And, like, we just decide to change up the formula now, last minute, because we feel like his story fits that better. Like, that's not what's happening here, and that's not what happens in most cases. Like, it's funny because there's an ad here for Doctor Who, and it makes me think about the female Doctor Who and how people were throwing a shitstorm. But for about 9 seasons of that, there was a running joke about how he was surprised that he wasn't a girl yet, or that he didn't like regenerate as a girl, or he was like surprised that he didn't regenerate as a ginger. Having him regenerate as a girl shouldn't have caused controversy because guess what? It was always part of his character arc over he did whatever. He only always came up as a white male because that's just the most popular demographic of people that watch the show. It's fine. I'm not saying there's anything that's inherently wrong with that. I'm just saying don't be mad at something for changing what you expect it to be if it doesn't actually have any sort of bearing on the story.
But with Doctor Who, the changing of the Doctor's gender, having watched a few episodes of it and a few bits here and there, you can really tell that the writing crew just kind of did it could.
I think
their motive behind it wasn't like, let's give it a nice refresh, creativity. It really wasn't that, because story-wise, it's had zero impact.
I think that's
had no overall interaction. First episode, maybe 1 or 2 bits. Future episodes, oh yeah, girl, and that's it. That's as far as it goes. So changing it wasn't really. It had no overarching purpose. It didn't expand on anything. Also, in the case the story was heading this direction, or it's opening new doors because it's the exact same.
But if you think about that, though, in a sense, isn't that exactly what everybody wants? Is the fact that because it doesn't pertain to anything, did ever in the story him being a male ever change any part of the story? No,
well,
he has
a wife and a kid.
Right, but the Time Lords, the whole point was having a wife. Well, he had a wife and a kid, first of all. But the whole point of that thing was they said from the get go was like, we were generated into anything. I could be like, I mean, like I think it was in like some of the first seasons. Like he said, like I've just gotten lucky that I'm always a man, you know what I mean? Like pretty much is like what the running joke was, is that he always just kind of like hit the random lottery, or oh, I'm not an alien with like 6 different like toes or something. Like he said that joke before, but then you look at the race of Time Lords and none of them are like that. So I mean, if you're gonna call in the continuity error of the wife and the kids, they don't even have like, I don't think they procreate by having sex like in the same way that we think, because if they change genders like he admitted in the previous seasons, how did that happen? Remember, he has a magical link that he can enter people with, like how he entered the TARDIS entered him. Like going if we're gonna go into like
wrong. I have a magical link I can use to
if we're gonna go into like the intricacies of that sort of lore, I mean, to me the fact that he didn't have anything that made it really strong that it mattered if he was a male or a female, and then he became a female and nothing changed. That should make people happy that it didn't matter, because it's still just the same point. Now, if he was like, his whole purpose was like, I am the major king and I'm the last male of my race, and then he changed into a girl, well, okay, obviously that's the stupidest thing ever. You're the last male of your race, and now you're a woman.
Yeah.
That completely destroyed and then you come up with some sort of story. That'd be stupid.
That's a good point, I suppose. Just on the topic of Doctor Who, ruined anyways. Stephen Moffat doesn't do it anymore.
I mean, Doctor Who is ruined because it hasn't been good for seasons. But anyways, I think that's the podcast this week. This is the longest podcast that we've done so far. It's so hot in this room.
Really hot.
We're on over 2 hours at this moment.
Oh, yeah.
So, Rich, we thank you so much for, coming on and being a part of this.
Yeah,
we
of
really
course.
enjoyed
Thank you
it.
for having me on.
Of course. Is there any last minute things that you just want to, get off your chest, talk about, kind of like let anybody know that's listening right now?
Go play Judgment on the PlayStation 4.
Judgment.
And that's it.
I don't even know what
Yeah,
that
I know.
is.
It's a new installment in the Yakuza series.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Yakuza's good.
It's amazing.
Yakuza.
It's the first English voice acted Yakuza game as well.
Oh,
Okay, there you go.
it's interesting.
That's
Yeah.
that's some information for all you guys right there. Is it only on PS4?
Yes, I'm 95% sure. And maybe on PC, but I'm pretty sure it's PS4 exclusive.
I'm
right
sorry,
now.
we only settle for 100% here.
Yeah, we're 100% knowledgeable, and we research everything to the fullest extent. We promise.
We totally do.
Other than that, anything else that you want to say?
No, just thanks for having me on, and I hope to be back one day.
Of course, we would
Be a pleasure.
love to have you back, especially if you start creating things again.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
for sure.
if anybody listening, if you want to actually check out some of Rich's old stuff, if you search up Gaming Tech United on YouTube, you actually can see some of his old videos. A lot of it is kind of its time in the sense that it's like related to articles and news things for the time, but there still is some interesting stuff there. Just getting opinion pieces. Go check it out. I mean, I did the other day just for
Pretty
shits and
good.
giggles, because I was like, oh yeah, like this is really interesting. I like this sort of stuff, and you'll get to see who Rich is, and you'll get to kind of get his more professional opinion and sort of researched out in a greater extent speaking on things. So
And I don't know if you're ready to announce this. You can cut this if you're not. But those listening can also expect maybe a special episode coming within the next week or so.
oh yeah, we're gonna have a nice special episode. It's not gonna be released. It'll be released either before the next episode of the podcast, because it's its own standalone thing, or it'll be released after. So it won't be the same time. So you'll be able to, get some different times in there, but we got a little special going on. We won't say what it is
Oh, no.
exactly yet, but we will say it might be based on something a little strange. So
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. You'll figure it out soon, and everyone will enjoy. So thanks one more time, Rich, for being on here. Hope to work with you again soon. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate everyone that always,
As always, have you.
comes and listens to stuff. Yes, we do indeed. And we will talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.